Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is your favorite podcast, BOXN1, with your gracious and humble host. My name is Ralph Wright, and I'm here with Elise Clyburn.
What up?
What is going on?
Just being a floating head today.
Nothing wrong with that. At least your head is connected to your shoulders.
How are you doing, Ralph?
I'm alive, like you used to say. Like sometimes
Alive.
you do say. Blessed
I'm
and
blessed.
highly
I'm
flavored.
favored. But we're getting close to Halloween, so I'm getting the candy ready. But it's not good when you are eating the candy.
Listen, I am a candy taker. As a father, I'm also a candy hider.
Oh,
Because if you stretch it long enough, you will never really have to buy snacks.
Definitely. So what are we doing here today, Ralph?
Man, today, we already welcomed everybody to BOXN1. Also, back at it, just in case, before we really dive in, like, share, subscribe, hit the subscribe button so you can get that notification every time one of these nice videos are uploaded to YouTube for your viewing pleasure. If you want to check back to some of our latest, we talked about Jalen Green, we talked about some of the snubs from 75. We didn't even mention guys like if you watch the Joe Budden podcast, his dad brought up Bernard King, Adrian Dantley. There's some of those guys that we didn't even mention.
Bernard King is wild. Bernard King for sure needs to be on our list over anybody we mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that. Like I said, I did bring up the Gilbert over Dame. I feel like a lot of these young players have been put on that list because of where we're projecting their career to go. And at the same time, when you look at a guy like Grant Hill, his first 7 years in the league, he was dominant, right? So, there's that. So anyway, today we're here to focus on one of the young future up and coming guys. That the season is still young. This player is 5 games into the season as of the day of this recording, coming off of a huge comeback, come from behind, first win of their season. Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma Thunder, him paired with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are going to make one of the toughest, if not most exciting, backcourts of the future. Kind of can look at it and compare them to what the Warriors have and Golden State has with Clay and Steph, but really this duo is going to be completely different. Same thing like you've heard us speak about Kevin Porter and Green and how special those guys are. So now we're looking at a guy who for the last couple of years has been looked over as a potential all-star killer, in the league, and could possibly get an MVP one day. He was under that Doc Rivers helm for a year. Then, he was alongside Schroeder and Chris Paul, his second year. So last year was his first time with the Keys. This time they gave him something a little bit familiar. So we're here to talk about his new sidekick, and Josh Giddey out of Australia. So how you feel about Josh?
So let me talk about first when he was drafted. So about a month before the NBA draft, Josh Giddey really wasn't being brought up a lot. And I want to say it felt like 2 weeks before the draft, I started hearing about this Josh Giddey guy. I'm like, who the heck is this Josh Giddey guy? Well, if I'm not mistaken, Ralph, he's 6'9" point guard out of Australia.
He's 6'8".
Is that about right?
6'8". But
he's still young. He might grow, he might not.
Speaking of young, he just had a birthday, so
he's young. Yeah. So, after watching him and seeing some of his highlights during the draft time, I say European, but these foreigner guys, these international players, they throw me off sometimes, right? Because I'm looking at who they're playing against, and there's nothing really standing out. So with Josh Giddey, he was under my radar. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. But these 5 games that they've played, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
this guy reminds me of a player that we saw a lot when we went to St. Leo, is Marcus Rue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those of y'all who don't know Marcus Rue, he was a taller point guard. He wasn't very fast, wasn't super athletic, but extremely smart, and the game was played at his pace. And, watching some of the highlights from that Lakers game, when Josh Giddey had the ball in his hands, if I'm not mistaken, the game was being played at his pace. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, like we spoke off camera, and I said, if you want to go check back to my tweets, I
Mm-hmm.
said that at this point, and I'm a Laker fan, so I have to preface that because I need people to understand that I also look at the game objectively. I don't look at it as oh well, it's Lakers against everybody. I just look at the game as a whole. In the first half, I sent a text saying Josh Giddey has all the tools to be special.
Yeah.
I stopped watching the game after the first half. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was past my bedtime, bro. Like I needed
I'm
sleep.
mad at that.
But what I seen from him, and yeah, you mentioned like he's very methodical. He plays at his pace. What doesn't go like what goes unnoticed is the passes that could have been assists. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he got the numbers last night. So that's another thing I want to focus on too, is he's only 5 games in. He's
Let me
only
look at
5
his
games
stat
in.
line.
I think so he's averaging about 11, 6, and 6 right now. So the shocking part is, like I mentioned, he just had a birthday. He's less than he's a young 19. Um, the 1.4 steals and
Super young.
the 2 turnovers a game right now stick out. It sticks out to
Mm-hmm.
me because it's like these numbers that he has right now, he's only the game is only going to get slower for him. Now,
I mean, he's shooting 45% from the field. Like, that is so freaking good.
And then he's shooting about 38, 39% from 3.
Yeah.
The one glaring area that I would love to see improvement from is the free throw. I mean, because he's shooting roughly about 63. Now, when he goes to the paint, he's usually going to the paint to distribute. Kind of like how we talked about with Ben Simmons about a year ago when we talked about Ben Simmons. He's going to the basket to pass. And I say that because the passes are getting there, but the guys aren't completing them right now.
Yeah. And that's and some of that has nothing to do with him, but with what the makeup of the Thunder is. And it's no secret the Thunder, they're the worst team in the league this year. But they also have a crap ton of draft picks. So they, for all means, want to be the worst team.
They have a lot of talent though.
They do have a lot of young talent.
They have a lot of young talent.
I think, and like if we know anything about OKC, their front office knows exactly what they're doing, and they know how to flip some assets for even better assets.
Mm-hmm.
Now from what I saw in the highlights, because like I said, I didn't really watch the games. I have been watching. I'm not trying to watch the Thunder right now, but the highlights I've seen of Giddey, he gets inside the paint, which is what reminds me so much of that dude Marcus Rue that we saw.
It's that free throw line.
He attacks the free throw line, dude. And when I say attacks the free throw line, guys, as a point guard, if you can get 2 feet into the below the free throw line, you can either score or assist at will because the defense just collapses. And the other thing I saw from Giddey is his finishing package. He finishes around the rim as if he was a 5'10" point guard. He's doing floaters. So you have a dude that's 5'8", rising straight up and just floating the ball up in the air. And his float game is soft. Like he's 6'8", sorry. He's 6'8". My bad. But like his floater game, he finishes so soft. Like it just floats right in the air. It's really impressive. Like, and I think you're right. I think this game is going to slow up even more for him.
Especially as Shea becomes more dangerous. See, the thing is with him, and I don't think people realize that Shea can average about 25, 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's going to be more of that shooting guard, can create when needs to. Giddey's there for the guys like Baisley, right? Giddey's there for
Which,
the guys like AP, big AP. You know what I'm saying? Those catch and shoot guys.
I
Oklahoma has
like
a
that big AP.
that's I nicknamed him that, so because I ain't trying to butcher his last name. And but when you look at this Oklahoma team, you know, they have guys. We talked about them. We talked about them when we did that. But Josh Giddey performing at the level that he's performing right now, next to Shea, they're only going to get better.
Yeah,
And the fact that he plays defense, or
he's
he
long.
maintains in defense, he still has an opportunity of growth. So we might see him grow another. When it's all said and done, he could be 6'10". We could be looking at a 6'10" point guard. If
Smart 6'10" point guard.
and then what happens if the NBA trainers get to him, and he could
He can
actually
start shooting.
put more muscle on his body, and he could increase his athleticism. With him being so young, we're looking at his athleticism in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 years could take off. Even with his game being the way it is, all that's going to do is make him a more dynamic defender.
So if it's the sample size that I've seen is anything that's going to project of how he's going to be in the future, if his floor, this might be his floor. Now, obviously, with injuries, whatever, his floor can be a lot lower. If his floor is Sean Livingston, dude, that's a solid NBA player
Sean
who's a
Livingston with a
starter in the
jumper.
league. So I'm trying to say, like, you got a long, smart point guard who lets the game come to him. When he's in the game is played at his pace. Like, if he even becomes a Sean Livingston, dude.
But I think as the game slows down, his shooting percentages are going to go up. He could be his ceiling, and I don't want anybody to kill me for this, but whatever.
Because I said the floor. What's the ceiling?
His ceiling to me is a taller version of Steve Nash. And I'm not just saying
If that's the case, dude, if that's the case.
And I'm not saying that just because he's a tall white kid. Like, no, I'm saying that because if you look at his game, if you remember when Steve Nash was killing in Phoenix, he was killing off the pick and rolls and the passes that he was able to get off. Plus, he was a good mid-range shooter. If Giddey can increase his free throw percentage and increase his 2-point percentage to around 65%, like a Chris Paul,
it's
now
dude.
That's an unguardable player because he's already shooting about 39% from the 3-point line. If he can get those 2 percentages up, his assists are going to fly through the roof. He's going to be a 10 assists a game.
Actually running at him, and now it's easy.
And he's a willing passer. He's going to definitely be a 10 assist game guy. So, I'm excited to see what we can get from him. Like I said, if he can get a little bit more athletic, it's only going to benefit him on the defensive side where, he's sample size, he's at 1.4 steals per game. He's at just under 1 blocks. But the fact that he's averaging 6 assists and 2 turnovers.
That's impressive.
In that sample size, and the game is only going to slow down. So his turnovers are going to go down. A lot of those turnovers could also be contingent on the guys that's on this team. So when you put it all together, then you understand this kid is special. So, I mean, I'm good. I don't really have too much else to harp on when it comes down to Josh Giddey. I know he's one of those guys you got to keep an eye on, especially when we talk in the future. This draft is crazy, and I know he's the next rookie that we talked about, but he's not going to be the last one. I think this rookie class is going to get a lot of these special segments when we start talking. We have guys pretty much in a cusp that we could talk about right now.
Dude,
that they're going to have their own segment. Right now it's just Josh Giddey's time. We're probably going to revisit Josh Giddey again, in a couple months or in a couple of weeks, like who knows, but
easy.
You have to understand him, Shea Gilchrist, Baisley, and Big AP. Like that's their core. Like they're starting to round out their core. Lou Dort. He's one of those guys. Every team needs. He reminds me of Jay Crowder. He's gonna do the dirty work. Plus, he's gonna hit those timely shots. So
I'm excited, dude.
I'm excited to see like what Oklahoma's gonna do. The Oklahoma fans need it. They don't really get free agents, so. They have to score big throughout the draft and trades, and right now they've done a good job.
Listen, I'll say this to finish this up from my end. from just our conversation and watching some of the highlights I've seen of that Lakers OKC game,
Mhm.
the OKC, even though they're not going to win a lot of games, I'm going to make sure to keep poking on some of those league pass games for sure. I got to watch some of these league pass games, especially when they're playing against. I think even them against Houston is
They
going to be
play.
a fun game to watch. Them against Cleveland is going to be a fun game to watch because it
Mhm.
goes back to our earlier conversations we've had. The talent in this league right now is through the roof. It's
Amazing.
through the roof, man.
It is amazing, and they already played Houston one game. That was the game where Jalen Green almost posterized Mike Muscala. The refs didn't call a foul, but that's another. That's but I like Giddey's control. I liked his defense even on Jalen, that game.
Yeah.
So like Giddey has all the tools. Like I said it last night. I'll say it again. Giddey has all the tools to be special.
Yeah.
It's really at this point, it's about can he continue with the confidence, and then adding on just like a little Lego. What can he add on to his game? So
It's going to be nice to see him.
yes, yes, yes. So that's it for now with BOXN1. I'm your host, Ralph Wright, and I'm here with Elise Clyburn. Like, share, subscribe, do all of that. Leave a comment.
Yep.
Hit us up on Twitter. Talk to us. Let us know if you agree, if you disagree. Like we're with it for real. Like that's just who we are. We love to talk the game of basketball. Once again, we're just two people that love the game. We have over 25 plus years of the game in our blood. In our blood.
Yep.
So, love to have those conversations. I know we're not always going to agree, but this is what we're here for. We're here to educate.
Yep.
So until next time, y'all continue to walk in your greatness.
Be easy, y'all. Sorry, it's Halloween time, so I got to get my little candy in.
All right. Until then.